the 1950s and 1960s, Sabena invested in its network by procuring the most modern airliners such as the DC-6, the DC-7, the Caravelle and the Boeing 707. As with the Congolese independence in 1960, the African traffic flow declined. Because of the heavy competition in other areas, the profitable years became rare. On the other hand, there was a need to invest in new, modern material. So in order to keep up with its competitors, Sabena ordered 2 Boeing 747-100 in January 1969. One got the matriculation OOSGA and was delivered in November 1970. Captain Georges Jaspy had the opportunity to be involved in a historical moment. He flew this beauty from Seattle to Brussels on November 26, 1970. In December of that same year, the second jumbo, OOSGB, landed at Brussels Airport.
C'était le plus bel avion sur lequel j'ai volé. J'ai eu l'avantage de pouvoir aller le chercher. Nous avons fait, après avoir fait un très long entraînement chez Air France, nous avons aussi le privilège de pouvoir faire un cours complet qui a duré 1 mois à Virginie. Les Français étaient merveilleusement
organisés. The second investment would be the training of the pilots for the jumbo jet that started in 1970. This schooling consists of 3 parts. Theoretical lessons organized by Air France, a flight simulator training provided by Lufthansa to all its Atlas partners, and the last part of the training took place in flight in one of Sabena's 747 cockpits. Both aircraft began their service in 1971, and the first city to be served by the Boeing 747 for the Belgian flag carrier was New York. Sabena provided a daily flight Brussels-New York with seating for 361 passengers and room for 12 tons of cargo. During the summer season, 2 extra flights would be enrolled each week. At the same time, the jumbo becomes operational on the Brussels-Kinshasa route. This is the oldest long-distance service provided by Sabena and now operated twice a week by the Boeing 747. From now on, Sabena enters the age of mass transport by air. Also, 180 flight attendants had to follow an extra course for a week to get to know all the new little details of this big plane. From then on, the cabin crew were composed of 14 people, of which 8 or 9 were stewardesses, as well as a new onboard self-service buffet for our first-class passengers. Not only for flight personnel, but also for the passengers, the 747 was an innovative aircraft. The seats were, for that time, technically very advanced. Each passenger had a reading lamp, a seat tilt button, a bell for calling the stewardess, and a selection of music with the soundtrack of the movie. Along with the coming of the 747, some changes had to be made in different areas. Since cargo represented the biggest share of Sabena's revenue income, an improvement of service was needed for cargo shippers. For that purpose, Sabena built a series of 200 containers to be divided among the 707, 727 and 747. Now Sabena is equipped to use the 747 freighter version. This configuration allows carrying a total containerized payload of 120 tons over 2,500 nautical miles and permits to unload both decks in less than 30 minutes by only 3 men. In 1974, both the GA and the GB were converted by having a side cargo door installed. Sabena, approved by Boeing, engineered the system. Because of the conversion of passenger carrying into combined passenger and cargo carriers, there was a need to create a door on the left-hand side of the main deck, just behind the wing. The two 747-100s of Sabena were the first existing aircraft in the world to have the side cargo door modification. This change reduced the passenger total from 365 to 242 passengers. Although in Sabena's case the passenger-cargo combination proved to be useful during the 2 economically difficult years that followed the modification of the aircraft, it created a problem during summer months when there was a need to operate full passenger flights as additional services on scheduled routes and often as charters. This meant a time-consuming conversion job, and to overcome this problem, Sabena developed a quick change procedure for the 747's Zone E. Simultaneously, the 3 windows of the saloon bar were replaced by 10 windows. In 1984, Sabena, at that time, under the guidance of Chief Executive Officer Carlos van Raffelgem, ordered a new Boeing 747-300 which had a stretched upper deck. This was the largest airplane ever to be registered in Belgium, the OOSGC. The OOSGC was delivered to Sabena on the 10th of June 1986. A second Boeing 747-300, the OOSGD, was delivered to Sabena on the 27th of September 1990. This was the very last 747-300 built by Boeing.